Welcome to Monday, December 26, 2022, your Day Weather Podcast brought to you by Cowboy State Daily. Check them out at cowboystatedaily.com. Also being brought to you by WYDOT. Remember, when there's ice and snow, take it slow. It's going to be a very active weather pattern, as we're going to call this the Pacific Parade. We talked late last week that it was going to be less about the Arctic now and more about the Pacific for a couple of weeks. That's exactly what's going to happen. Now, there's pluses and minuses to this pattern, and we'll go through kind of a sense of both the good things and the bad things. It's going to be warmer. We certainly saw that in many areas over the weekend, but it is going to be windy. We're going to have some high winds at times here to start the week, especially in the wind-prone areas of Wyoming, the I-80 corridor, I-25. Do expect some very stout and some very strong gusty winds, but this is mild Pacific air that's getting pushed in. But what we're going to see are a series of fast, very fast moving, small little weather systems, but moist, energetic ones. And these systems really cause travel headaches because they're not really big storms that really don't gather a lot of news. They're just lots of little ones that come through about every 2 or 3 days that will cause travel problems in the west because the high country is going to be in and out of snow. So the higher elevation roads, highways, and mountain passes will be impacted. We're going to see a lot of weather on the west coast. That's going to cause some travel headaches for airports. And these systems, as they come over the divide, it does look like we've got a couple, especially one here early in the week and another one mid to late in the week and maybe one over the New Year's weekend. We see 3 systems that may produce a little bit of snow east of the Continental Divide. So this is going to be keeping travelers on their toes through New Year's weekend. So stay tuned. The West Coast is going to get slammed. I mean, great and badly needed precipitation for California and parts of the interior Great Basin states. Even the desert Southwest down into Arizona going to get wet. So this is a very active pattern for the West, and it's going to continue, I think, for a couple of weeks. Great shot here Christmas morning over the Sangre de Cristos. Some beautiful shots like that as we saw the transition from the Arctic air moving out to a different pattern, which gave us a lot of cool looking high and mid-level clouds. And you can see all those clouds on the morning satellite here. You can see a lot of these high and mid-level clouds getting pushed in. This will cause a lot of lenticular clouds, and there's a very strong jet stream ahead moving on in with a low sitting here off the coast of Washington and Oregon. This system, here it is, you can see it's kind of a double-barreled low-pressure system coming in off the Pacific coast. This will be coming inland later today, tonight, and into tomorrow. We have another little system that's producing snow in the Great Lakes and Midwest again, but we've got a milder Pacific flow here, as you can see, coming into the West Coast and into the Rockies. So temperatures today and tomorrow will be mild, but these increasing jet stream winds going perpendicular to the mountains will certainly mean some windy conditions. But you can see where the Arctic air is now. It's gotten pushed off the divide, and it's out east now into the Midwest and the other side of the nation, while the West isn't terribly warm, but certainly nothing like we had late last week. We talked about the Pacific Pipeline, the pipeline of moisture, the Pineapple Express, whatever you want to call it, showing up with the satellite imagery today, just a large fetch of moist air coming across the Pacific with lots of low pressure systems. There's low off the Aleutians. There's this double-barreled low pressure that we've got going now. They're just going to be lining up, and very strong jet streams moving across the Pacific. Look at this. This is for later today. This is a long fetch. If you add up the miles here, this is a giant fetch of very strong upper-level winds headed right towards western North America. And it's just a conveyor belt of Pacific moisture that's going to get driven into the western United States. This is going to do tremendous things for the Sierra Nevada snowpack, which is off to a great start. It is going to get another really big boost. And the snowpack in the Rockies and the Cascades will be increasing as well as the moisture comes off the west coast and pushes in. There you can see the precipitable water fetch that is developing across the Pacific. And it's going to likely look like this several times over the next couple of weeks. Now, we have one system that's coming in off the coast. It's the double-barreled system up here. It's going to be moving into the Great Basin and through the Northern Rockies fairly quickly as we get into late Tuesday, overnight Tuesday. This is by early Wednesday morning. And it's going to move very quickly across the region. As it does so, it's going to produce areas of rain and snow in this area right here. So for western and southwestern Wyoming, Salt Lake, back into Idaho, back into the Great Basin states, rain and over the higher elevation snow will get driven in. And there you can see it. A lot of it stays right along and west of the Continental Divide here by Wednesday morning. But I-80 here, west of Laramie into Salt Lake, then on the way to northern Nevada, you're going to be looking at some snow. You're going to look at snow in Jackson, the Wind Rivers, the Wasatch Front, and this moist wave is going to jump over the divide as we get into Wednesday night and Thursday. So first it gets the western side of Wyoming, Colorado, back into Utah and Idaho. Then it jumps the divide by Friday morning. So it's going to bring a slug of moisture to areas maybe along the Front Range. And then they got another system. This is by New Year's Day Sunday coming on through. So it's a parade of systems. This is the second wave. And this is the area we kind of need to watch that I'm outlining right here. Overnight Wednesday into Thursday, we are going to be looking at the potential for snow coming into Colorado, parts of Nebraska, parts of southeastern Wyoming, east of the divide, maybe even up to northeastern Wyoming. There's going to be a slug of what could be some moderate snowfall coming in mid to late week with this system. And there you can see it as we get on into the end of the week. This is probably in the time frame of during the day Wednesday and into Wednesday night and Thursday morning. And then there's that next system that potentially comes over the weekend. So this is the 10-day precipitation forecast. And you can see very heavy rain here along the coastal areas. That's going to translate to huge snows. Look at Arizona. Look at Nevada. Look at Utah. Look at the interior Great Basin states. This is a very moist weather pattern. So that's going to spell some travel concerns, but it's going to bring a lot of snow to the mountains and really help the snowpack. Heavy snow in the mountains of Colorado and Wyoming, even northern and northwestern areas of New Mexico. And then you can see this tongue of moisture, potentially some snow spilling over the Continental Divide that we need to keep an eye on. This is your 10-day snowfall forecast. Look at that snowfall forecast for the Sierra Nevada. Now, this is likely overdoing it. That is saying 120.7 inches of snow in the central Sierra Nevada. Will they get 12 feet of snow? I don't know, but over the next 10 days, feet of snow will be likely in the Sierras, and then heavier snows spreading inland to the higher terrain as well. And 10 days out, you can see we just have more coming. So this is probably going to be a pattern that lasts a couple of weeks. What this pattern does is it does not let Arctic air come into the U.S., but late December air over the Pacific isn't necessarily warm either. So it's not a terribly warm pattern, but we don't have Arctic, but we do have moisture, which in the long run is good news, but it is going to cause some travel problems. The 10-day precipitation anomaly, look at all the blue and the green here coming across the region. Look at California, Washington, and Oregon, and then the interior. It's going to be a pretty busy end of December and early January in the West. Have yourself a good Monday. We'll see you tomorrow.